Hello and welcome to our last flow together. We're going to start our class in a cross-legged position. An easy seat is a way you might hear that in the yoga studio. So I like to sit on a block. It gives me a little bit more openness in my hips. My knees can go a little bit lower than my lower back, and that relieves some pressure. And rest my hands on my thighs. I can have my hands at heart center. Whatever feels welcoming to you in this moment. And perhaps closing your eyes, giving yourself a moment of privacy or a gentle gaze towards the floor if that's not something that feels welcoming to you in this moment. And just allowing your attention to fall into your breath. Taking some time to observe the qualities of your breath. Perhaps observing the rate at which you're breathing, fast or slow. You're breathing deeply or more shallow. Breathing into your chest or into your diaphragm. You're breathing in and out of your nose or your mouth. Using these qualities of your breath to anchor you to this moment. If you find that your mind has started to wander, that's okay, that's what minds do. Take a moment to pause, acknowledge this thought, feeling, or emotion. Give it a label. Give it a name. Do your best not to pass any judgment, and then let it pass away like a cloud in the sky. And come back to your breath. I'd like to invite you to set an intention for your class today, for your flow. Around the container of beginnings. And so perhaps in this moment, you think about a time that you started something, or you were brand new to something, or a brand new experience. Perhaps that brings up feelings of anxiety or nervousness or excitement. Hold on to those sensations, those feelings of starting something new. And think about this experience as the beginning of something new, a new journey. Exploring this practice together through this lens. Breathe together with a deep inhale, inhaling here. And exhaling out the mouth. One more inhale. And exhaling out the mouth. Just one more time here. Inhaling, nice and deep. And exhaling out the mouth. If you'd like to stay in stillness, please feel free to do that. But let's begin by inviting some gentle movements in our bodies as we inhale, rising our arms up towards the ceiling. With an exhale, lowering them down. With an inhale, rising up, reaching our arms towards the ceiling. Dropping our shoulder blades, creating space between our ears. With an exhale, lowering down. Continuing at your own pace here. So you inhale, reaching towards the ceiling, exhaling, lowering your hands down. You can follow along with my movements, or you can explore some different movements here, reaching up towards the ceiling at slightly different angles, maybe reaching out in front of you, and lowering down. You draw circles with your arms as you reach up. And exhaling, bringing them down. Just whatever feels right and natural. You can mix it up if you want. Just beginning to cultivate a relationship between our breath and movement. You can keep moving here for a breath or two, or if you're ready to find stillness, you can come back to easy sleep. And if you're still moving, have this be your last breath. And coming back to center. And going into a nice gentle twist here. So I'm going to go off to my right side first, but you can go off to whatever side feels right. Bring that opposite arm to rest on your thigh. And just really nice gentle twist here. Maybe not even quite looking out over your shoulder. You breathe, observing any sensations you start to feel in the body as we begin to move. On the side. That's good. And exhale, coming back to center and going to the other side now. Nice twist on the other side. And observing how sensations feel differently. Exhaling back to center. Remove the block if you're standing on the block. And coming into tabletop. Hands underneath the shoulders, fingers splayed wide, knees underneath our hips. Maybe our toes are tucked, maybe they're resting on the earth, whatever is comfortable to you. Pushing into the earth. Feeling both the sensation of grounding, yet elongation as we push away and our legs and arms become long. Our spine nice and straight. Staying in stillness if this feels right. We're engaging in a series of cat-cow with an inhale, dropping our bellies. Cow pose, gaze goes upwards. With an exhale, curling our spine, sending our gaze towards our belly buttons. Tailbone tracks towards the earth. Cat pose. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat pose. And then feeling free to move along with me on the screen or moving at your own pace. Just connecting that breath with movement. Feeling free to invite any other types of movement that might feel good, maybe going side to side. Maybe drawing circles with our hips and our shoulders. Just do whatever feels welcoming to you. As long as we're connecting breath with movement, that's the goal here. If you're drawing circles, making sure to go in the opposite direction to get a sense of balance. And when you're ready, finding a neutral position back at tabletop. Bringing your heels together, perhaps your knees go wide, hands reaching towards the top of the mat, yet your sits bones pushing back towards your heels, going into child's pose. Foreheads resting on the earth. Our bellies doing a puppy belly, filling up the space between our thighs. And just taking this moment to intentionally remind us all that child's pose is always available to us. Regardless of what I'm saying on the screen or cueing us through, if you are craving a pose of rest, and this is restful to you, please feel free to come into it whenever you like. Stay here. When you're ready, coming back to tabletop. Actually, take those hands and keep them kind of where they were. Tuck your toes if they're not tucked. And send yourself back into our first downward facing dog of the day. This is our first dog, so our bodies are still a little cold, so I invite you to have a nice deep bend in the knees. Hands, fingers are splayed nice and wide, and as evenly distributed in our hands as we can do, but think about maybe focusing a little bit more of the weight distribution on the L that our fingers make, with our index fingers and our thumbs. Taking our shoulders and rolling them down the side body. So maybe up here, so you can roll them down. And you may also want to play around with the distance between your feet and your hands. That may help us get a shape that is more or less a straight line from our tailbone to our fingertips. A nice deep bend can help us with that as well. Maybe we want to explore movement, taking our dog for a walk. When you're ready, then finding some stillness, maybe shaking our head yes, no. And then bending your knees deeply and walking your hands
towards the top of the mat, meeting in a forward fold and exhaling. And then with an inhale, grounding down into our feet as we rise up, stacking each vertebrae one by one as we reach towards the ceiling. And then exhale, hands at heart center. Maybe our hands are at heart center. Perhaps we invite our hands to come into an opening position as we stand in Tadasana, mountain pose. Perhaps we're taking one more moment with our eyes closed. One more moment of privacy. One more moment just for ourselves. Coming back to that sense of beginning, that sense of exploration and wonder. Let's continue to cultivate a relationship between breath and body with a few half sun salutations. So if you're ready, inhale your arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Nice deep bend in your forward fold if you like. Your hands don't have to come to the earth. But sometimes it's nice to rest our chest on our thighs if that's available to us. With an inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. With an inhale, slowly rising up, reaching towards the ceiling, exhaling, hands at heart center. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rising up as we reach. And exhaling, hands at heart center. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rising up, reaching. Exhaling, hands at heart center. Couple more times. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reaching up. Exhale, hands at heart center. One more time. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, hands at heart center. Taking this moment, observing any sensations in our bodies. Increasing the heart rate, perhaps beginning to generate some heat. Moving into Surya Namaskara A or Sun Salutation A. Knowing that you can choose whatever variation you like. I will start with the bus stop 1 with tabletop and then build from there. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step back, tabletop. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Tuck your toes if they're not. Sending your sits bones back, downward facing dog. Taking a moment to check our alignment, exploring how deeply we'd like to bend our knees, rolling our shoulders down the sides. Breathing here. Bend your knees and your gaze to the top of the mat. Exhaling in forward fold. As we inhale, reaching up, rising up. And exhaling, hands at heart center. Beautiful. Continuing with bus stop 1, tabletop if you wish, or moving on for bus stop 2. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step back to a modified plank. Inhaling at the top. Exhale, lowering down, keeping our elbows nice and close to our bodies with control. Inhaling, baby cobra, tops of our feet pushing into the mat, using our backs to lift our hearts. Exhaling, push back, downward facing dog. Feeling free to find stillness or exploring your downward facing dog today. Those shoulders down the sides. Bend your knees and your gaze to the top of the mat. Walking. Meeting in a forward fold with an exhale. Inhale, then rising up, reaching towards the ceiling, and exhaling, hands at heart center. Bus stop 3 this time, your choice of choosing bus stop 1, 2, or exploring bus stop 3 with me. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back to a full plank. Inhaling at the top. Exhaling, lowering down with control. Inhale, baby cobra or up dog. And exhale, pushing back through plank or modified plank, downward facing dog. Bend your knees and your gaze to the top of the mat, walking to meet in a forward fold with an exhale. With an inhale, reaching up. And exhale, hands at heart center, Salutation. Do 2 more rounds of Sun Salutations, yogi's choice for bus stops and variations. You can follow along with me or do what feels right for you. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, pinch your hands, step back to your plank. Inhaling at the top, and then lowering down with control. Baby cobra, inhaling, and exhaling, pushing back through downward facing dog. Bend your knees and your gaze to the top of the mat. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reaching up. Exhaling, hands at heart center. Lovely, last one, you're doing wonderfully. And know that child's pose is also an option. Inhale, arms up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, plant your hands, step back. Your plank. Inhale at the top. Exhale, lowering down. Inhale, baby cobra. Exhale, push back, downward facing dog. Maybe now, having done downward facing dog, perhaps we'll explore maybe straightening our knees a little bit. But if that affects our shoulders and not able to have a nice straight line, we'll just keep that nice bend in our knees. No worries. Bend your knees and your gaze to the top of the mat. Exhale, forward fold. And inhale, this time going up into chair. If you have a block close by, you can put a block in between your knees. Holding that block there, keeping our thighs engaged. Or just pretend it's there if you don't have a block. Inhaling. Arms maybe reaching up, maybe they stay at heart center if our shoulders are sore or a little sad. Engaging our core. Keeping our backs nice and straight, maybe tucking our tailbone a little bit. Holding for a couple breaths. Maybe starting to feel some new sensations, maybe in our quads.
And then exhale, release. Well done. Remove the block. And you can keep the block towards the front of your mat because you may want it, exploring some of our standing poses. Inhaling the choice of whichever knee forwards. Inhale a knee up to your chest. I'm starting with my right. You can choose whichever one, keeping that foot flexed. And with an exhale, stepping backwards, warrior two. So before going into warrior two, we're going to make sure we set up our strong foundation. My back foot is parallel with the back of my mat. My front foot is pointing towards the front of my mat. I have a little bit wider angle today, but you can have up to a 90-degree angle. But we don't want to go any further. So keep a nice 90-degree angle. Maybe you want to straighten or widen out your stance. Back legs engaged. Draw navel to spine, really engaging our core, energetically drawing upwards from the earth. And then when we're ready, we can bring our arms out. Taking a gaze at our hands, making sure they're nice and even. And then holding here. Feeling perhaps a sense of empowerment as we ask our bodies to hold ourselves in this powerful pose. And then with an exhale, going into peaceful warrior. So our front arm goes towards the ceiling, our back arm rests somewhere on our hips, maybe our thighs, perhaps even a shin. Tucking that tailbone, keeping our base nice and stable. And inhale, coming back to warrior two. Engage your core here. We're going to step towards the top of our mat, really using our core. Beautiful, coming back to Tadasana. Doing the next side now, your opposite knee. Inhaling that knee towards your chest. It's my left knee here. With an exhale, stepping backwards, warrior two. Taking a moment, let's do our checks. Knowing that my warrior is going to look different than yours because we're different people. Breathing here. Observing any sensations that we feel. And with an exhale, peaceful warrior. Maybe your gaze goes towards your hands. Maybe it stays straight in front. Tuck that tailbone. With an inhale, coming back up to warrior two. We'll cartwheel our hands down and go through your vinyasa, meeting with downward facing dog. Beautiful. Bend your knees, walk your feet to your hands. Meeting in the forward fold with an exhale. And then inhale, rising up. And exhale, bringing your hands to heart center. We're going to be building now. Inhaling that first knee up towards your chest. It's my right knee here. Then exhale, stepping back, warrior two. Once you've got your checks, inhale your arms up. Your attention to your tailbone, if it needs to be tucked towards the earth, engaging our core, back leg is engaged. Inhale, peaceful warrior. Making sure that we didn't disrupt our foundation. Inhaling back up to warrior two. Getting ready for extended side angle. So our front arm comes to rest on our front thigh. Remember, we're not dumping into that front thigh though. It's really almost just like a little bit of an assist.
Taking that back arm, swooping it down, and then reaching up towards the front of our mat. So we may be creating a nice straight line between the tips of our fingers and the edge of our foot. Engaging our core here, not forgetting about our core, tucking our tailbone. Inhaling back up to warrior two. Straightening that front leg, maybe shortening our stance a little bit, getting ready for Trikonasana or triangle pose. And once we're ready, pretending as if someone's pulling our fingers forwards, then hinging at the hips, keeping our arms nice and wide, reaching. And your hand may catch your thigh, your shin, perhaps a block. Gaze may go towards the ceiling. It may go towards the floor. Arm that's reaching up towards the ceiling can also rest on your hip. That's an option. And as we're holding this pose, you may even start to explore some depths. Just make sure you keep that tailbone nice and tucked. Observing where we feel our sensations. Backing out if we need to. And then drawing your core together, using your core to lift yourself up. Take that front foot, rotate it to the side of your mat. Maybe make your stance a little bit wider here. Hands at your waist. Inhale. And exhale, forward fold. Wide-legged forward fold here. Perhaps your hands stay on your waist. Perhaps they find a block. Perhaps they find the floor. And perhaps your forehead finds a block. Feel free to be curious with stretching your legs a little bit wider, maybe rotating your toes inwards or outwards and seeing how that changes your experience of this pose. Energetically, we're tracking forward. If you'd like to invite some movement here, you can inhale going off to one side or exhaling. Inhaling back to center and then exhaling, bending one of your knees and straightening the other. And then going back and forth, nice and gentle. And this is optional. It's just to explore some movement if you'd like. Otherwise you can keep center. If you're moving, finish your last round and come back to center. Take your hands to your waist. Draw your navel to spine, using your core to lift yourself up. Turn that front toe towards the front of your mat. You may want to shorten your stance. And then stepping forward, meeting back into Tadasana. Getting ready for the other side now, lifting that opposite knee. For me, it's my left, foot flexed, stepping back. Warrior two. As my base, solid foundation is established, I'll lift my arms up. Feeling free to always check back in with our foundation. And your next breath, keeping your foundation nice and solid, reaching up, peaceful warrior. Tucking that tailbone. Inhaling back up to warrior two. Getting ready for extended side angle. Take that front arm to rest on your front thigh. Just as a nice gentle assist, we're really using our core to keep ourselves stable here as we swoop our back arm down and then up, reaching towards that front of the room. Perhaps creating a nice straight line and really opening our chest open to the side of our mat. We don't want to be reaching over, but actually opening ourselves up. And you may find that your foundation wavers a little bit. That's okay, just readjust. Using your core, inhaling back up. Perhaps shortening your stance, straightening that front leg, getting ready for Trikonasana, triangle pose. Pretending someone's pulling your front body forward, and then we hinge. That front arm finds a shin, a thigh, a block. Blocks can be on the inside. You may find that one side is different than the other. One side's more flexible, one side's more open, one side's more restricted. Just make sure you tuck that tailbone. Using our core to inhale ourselves upwards. If we're using a block or want to explore a block, in the next pose, we can keep it here. Taking that front toe towards the side of our mat. Stretching our stride as wide as we may want to explore right now. And before diving into forward fold, take our strap if you want to explore a strap. You don't need it though. If you can clasp your hands together like this, you may want to explore not using a strap. I'm going to use one here. I'm going to clasp it behind my back like so. My wide-legged stance. Drawing my heart open, shoulders together. Inhale, and with an exhale, forward folding, sending my arms up and over my head if that's available to me. It might not. Today it's not super available to me. Then that's okay. Perhaps your forehead finds the block. I'm going to have mine on my highest setting so I can rest here. This is optional, but you don't have to do this. You can float. With an inhale, taking our hands back to our waist, engaging our core. Turning that front toe, and then stepping towards the top of our mat. Hands at heart center. And then going through your vinyasa, inhaling arms up. Exhale, forward fold, stepping back to your plank or tabletop or child's pose. Inhaling at the top, lowering down. Inhale, baby cobra or up dog. And exhale, pushing back. Downward facing dog. Again, or child's pose. Exhale, bending your knees, send your gaze to the top of the mat. Exhaling, forward fold, inhaling. And then exhaling, hands at heart center. So it may be nice to have a block here. Inhaling, going into tree. So inhale, whichever knee you'd like to start with. I'm going to start with my right. And grounding down with my foot that's connected to the earth. I'm going to open up my hip to the side of my mat. And here I'm going to find my bus stop. Bus stop 1 is foot on the earth. Bus stop 2 is foot on my shin, on the inside of my calf. And bus stop 3 is taking my foot and resting in where my hip connects to my pelvis. My femur connects with my pelvis. I'm wearing slippery pants today, so I'm just gonna drop mine down. And it also allows me to open up my hip a little bit more. If you find that as you're exploring, your knee sort of tracks inwards, you may want to explore a different bus stop so that your knee can open up towards the side. We want to open our hips here in this position. Tuck your tailbone, engage your core. For your hands now, this may be where you'd like to keep your hands, and that's perfectly fine. Otherwise, if you'd like to grow your branches, take your hands and you can spread outwards. Remember with balancing poses, it's all in our core and finding a space right in front of us that we can focus on. Maybe not the screen, because I might be wiggling a bit too much. Spine nice and straight. Shoulders are sliding down our backs, creating space between our shoulders and ears. If you'd like to add a challenge, you can close your eyes. And then at your next breath, you can release. Draw that knee back towards your chest if you can do, and then step back, warrior one. So our knees bend, maybe not as much as with warrior two. Our back foot, instead of parallel, is at more of a 45-degree angle. And I like to have my stance nice and wide here. I like to take up all the space on my mat. This is my world, so I'm going to take up my space. And arms reaching up towards the ceiling. And then squaring your shoulders with the top of your mat, and your hips will follow. If this doesn't feel great on your knee, you can always come up to a high lunge. So my back foot is now on the ball of my foot. That's an option also here. Drawing core together, really engaging here. And with an exhale, sliding back now into high lunge. Exhaling, bowing warrior. Inhale, rising up. Maybe engaging in a little bit of a back bend here. Exhale, bowing warrior. Our torso goes just to the side of our front thighs. We inhale, rising up, using our core to lift us. A little bit of a back bend if we like. One more time here. Exhaling, bowing warrior. Arms sweep behind us. Inhaling, rising up one more time. A little bit of a heart opener. And then if you can, engaging in your core, stepping forward, and landing in Tadasana. Well done. Doing the other side now. Inhaling your opposite knee, it's my left knee here. Flexing that front foot, stepping back, warrior one. Taking a moment to do our checks. So I need to shorten my stance a little bit. Once I feel like my back leg is engaged, my knees are bent at a good angle, I'm going to inhale my arms up. Then you can explore high lunge here. This does not feel good on your knees. Squaring my shoulder to the top of the mat. Reaching. If you'd like a little bit of a challenge, you can send your gaze towards your fingers. Dropping those shoulders down, creating space. One more breath. And rotating onto the ball of your back foot, maybe even making a bit of a longer stance here into high lunge. Continuing to square our shoulders with the mat. Maybe widen our stance a bit. And with an exhale, bowing warrior. Arms sweep behind us. With an inhale, rising back up, maybe going into a bit of a back bend. Exhale, bowing warrior. Inhale, rising up. Exhale, one more time, bowing warrior. Inhale, rising up. And then going through your vinyasa, that may include resting in child's pose, tabletop, or you can follow me. Meeting in downward facing dog. And if you're in a position of rest, please make your way to downward facing dog now. Exhale, bending your knees, making your way to the top of the mat, and then exhale, forward fold. Inhale, rising up. And exhaling, hands out, center. Going back into tree. the other side this time. So grounding down through that foot, finding your bus stop 1, 2, or 3, acknowledging that might be a bit different bus stop on a different side. Just as long as our foot is not pushing into our knee, it's the only thing we want to avoid. And again, my pants are slippery, so we go down to this bus stop. And if you feel like you have a strong foundation here, you can leave your hands where they are, or your branches can grow. If you want to add a challenge, you can move towards your hands. Inhale that left knee towards your chest. And then exhale, set it back. To warrior 1 or a high lunge. Inhale, up. And standing in our power here. Really drawing our navel to spine, maybe tucking our tailbone. When you're ready, you can release and shortening your stance, getting ready for pyramid. And so with pyramid, both of our feet are pointed towards the front of our mats. Take your hands to your waist, and you may stop here, that's good. Inhale. And then exhale, forward fold if it's available to you. Maybe our hands come to our thigh, our shin, or our block. We can stay here if this feels good, or we can engage in a twist here. So if you're using a block, bringing it to the outside of your foot, planting your opposite hand on the block, elongating our torso here, and as we twist, keeping our hands perhaps on the small of our back and our hips, or if it's available to us, we can inhale and reach our arm towards the sky, keeping weight evenly distributed in our foot. And we'll just begin our twist for a couple breaths here. If you feel your breath restricted in any way, I encourage you to come out of this twist back into pyramid. Exhale and release. Moving this block out of the way. Inhaling back up. Begin to put weight into that front foot as your back foot becomes light. Inhaling, rising up, warrior 3. So take your attention to that hip, your open hip, and draw that towards the earth, really squaring our hips off. This is a balance pose also. So if you fall, just feel free to come back into it. Shake out your leg. Arms can do a few different things once you find stability. Your bus stop may be here today. You're shooting to lift your leg up straight. I'm not quite there yet. I'm still working on strength in my hips. But your arms can go out wide, they can go back behind you, or they can go in front of you. One more breath here. Come out of that. If any of you guys are runners, you may feel that pretty significant weight in your glutes. I know that I do. Great, so let's do that to the other side now. Inhaling our right knee or our opposite knee towards our chest. For me, it's my right knee. Inhaling, stepping back, warrior 1 or high lunge. begin squaring off our shoulders with the top of the mat. Tucking our tailbone. Engaging our legs here, strong foundations. Maybe our gaze goes towards our fingers. If we want an added balance challenge. When you're ready, you can release and getting yourself ready for pyramid pose. So bring that back foot a little bit closer, almost like it's a half stride distance. Both feet are pointing towards the front of our mat, hands on our hips with an inhale. And then an exhale, hinging at the hips, forward fold. Bringing your hands to your thigh, your shin, maybe the floor or a block. Feeling that sensation, perhaps you feel it in your lower back, perhaps you feel it in a hamstring. That's where I feel mine most acutely. And you're welcome to stay here and breathe into your pyramid pose, or if you'd like to engage in a twist, bring a block to the outside of your foot. And for what it's worth, if you did a twist on the other side, but you don't want to do it on this side, you don't have to. And take your opposite hand, resting on your block, straightening at your torso, and then twisting off to the side. Perhaps leaving your hand on your lower back, perhaps extending up. I like to keep mine on my lower back, that way I can engage in my twist without limiting my breath. And one more breath, and then we can release. Coming back to center and getting ready for warrior three. So beginning to put weight into our front leg as our back leg becomes light. As we lift that back leg up off the earth, tracking that hip down towards the earth so our hips are nice and square. Hands can stay at our waist. They can go behind us, off to the side, or in front. And again, we're shooting to have our legs nice and straight. As you can see, I'm still working on that personally. Still working up strength in my hips. If you come out of it, get back in if you want. Purely optional. One more breath if you're in warrior three. And you can relax. Well, maybe not relax, but release. And then coming on down to the earth into child's pose. So your knees can be together or wide. And resting here. Just taking a moment, maybe you could do a small body scan. Making note of any sensations we feel. Maybe noting differences from earlier in our flow together, the sensations you felt versus now. We just did a lot of movement, a lot of opening, a lot of stretching, a lot of strength building. So if you'd like to stay in this position of rest and this feels good for you, please stay here. Otherwise, I invite you to come down onto your belly, sending your legs back and your arms off to the side, and then maybe resting your cheek on the mat. Going into a heart opener, going into locust. And we have a few bus stops for this, depending on what you'd like to do with your body today. We'll start with bus stop 1. And with locust, just like with baby cobra, we're pushing into the tops of the mat, with the tops of our feet and engaging our back muscles to lift up our torso. And our hands will shoot back behind us. So with an inhale, engaging in those muscles, pushing down, our quads are engaged. Perhaps we feel our knees off the mat. Drawing our shoulder blades together, opening up our heart. Gaze goes just past the top of our mat. Let's hold for 3 breaths. 1 more breath. And exhale, release. So that's bus stop 1. You can explore locust with the lower half of your body as well. Consider this for bus stop 2. With bus stop 2, we'll take our hands and rest them onto the mat, the palms onto the mat. And then as we inhale, we'll engage our glute muscles and lift the lower part of our bodies. With an inhale, engage those glutes, lifting those legs off. Torso stays on the mat. We're not really using our hands. You can see I'm lifting my hands up off the mat. I'm not really using my hands to lift up my lower body. I'm really using my glutes and my leg muscles. Let's hold this for 1 more breath. And then release. And then bus stop 3 is the whole thing. So if you already know you don't really want to do that, you can pick bus stop 1 or bus stop 2 here. Otherwise, if you'd like to follow me, with an inhale, we'll rise up, lifting our arms, lifting our chest, reaching our fingers back. Gaze goes towards just in front of our mat. One more breath here. And then exhale, release. Maybe resting on the opposite cheek this time. I'm just doing a body scan. I'm always amazed at how my body reacts to this pose. I always notice an increase in heart rate. Let's do 2 more rounds, picking your bus stop, knowing that whatever bus stop you picked last time, you can pick a different one. With an inhale, choosing your bus stop, rising up, holding for 3 breaths. Drawing those shoulder blades together if our torso is up, lifting up. And release. Last round here. With an inhale, rising up, choosing your bus stop. Last breath. And release. You can rest here if you like, or you can roll onto your back. We're getting ready for bridge pose. Another heart opener. And if you'd like to have bridge in a bit more of a supported, restorative position, you can take your block or block like prop and rest it underneath the small of your back, probably on its lowest setting, but you may want to explore, you may want it on your medium setting or perhaps the high setting. It's up to you. But that's how you can experience bridge. If you are craving something a bit more restorative in this moment, a bit more what might encourage rest. If you'd like to engage in something a little bit more active in our muscles, draw your heels as close to your sit bones as you can. Hands flat on the mat. And with an inhale, engaging our core and our glutes, begin to lift your lower back up off the mat, sending your hips towards the ceiling until you're up on your shoulders, drawing your knees together. Just like the chair, a very helpful prop can be a block in between your knees. Holding here for 1 more breath. And then exhale, releasing down. With an inhale, drawing back up, peeling our hips up off the earth, paying attention to each vertebrae as we rise up. If you'd like a bit more of a shoulder stretch, you can clasp your hands underneath and draw your shoulder blades together, but this is just an option. If you're in the restorative position with the block, you can just hang out. Just enjoy that sensation. And when you're ready, you can release. And going into bridge one more time. With an inhale, peeling your hips up off the earth. Maybe sending your shoulder blades together. Pushing in with your feet. Drawing your knees together, holding that block if you have a block there. If no block, energetically drawing your knees together, engaging the inside of your thighs. And with an exhale, lowering down. Drawing both knees to your chest here. Maybe rolling back and forth, drawing little circles. If you're drawing circles with your knees and you're going in one direction, make sure to go in the other. Back massage. And keeping one knee towards your chest, extend your other leg out straight. Flexing that foot, flexing both feet. And with an exhale, going into a recline twist, taking that bent knee and twisting over the extended leg. If you're happy here, you can stay here. Otherwise, you can draw that knee back towards center. Draw your other knee back towards your chest. Extend the opposite leg. And now twisting off to the other side. Crossing over your extended leg. Center. You can draw those knees back to your chest. Perhaps going into happy baby. Perhaps giving yourself a little bit of a hip stretch so you keep one knee bent. About a 90-degree angle. Take your other leg, cross that ankle over your thigh so that there's a gap here. You can put your hand between that gap and, if it's available to you, clasping behind your knee here. Perhaps feeling a stretch. Perhaps feeling a stretch in your hips. If you're doing this hip stretch, go ahead and cross and do the other side. It's a really nice stretch to do if you are sitting at a desk all day and your hips are allowed to get tight. arms, feet flexed. You can release. I'd like to offer you up a different position for Shabasana, traditionally lying on your mat. You have one alternative, which is legs up the wall. We've explored that already. But I'd like to give you a pose that is restorative and is not traditionally used as an option for Shavasana, but if you're looking for something to still open up your chest, this might be a good option. And it's a restorative fish pose. And I also wanted to introduce you to something that you can experience in restorative yoga. Restorative yoga is often considered to be very relaxing and very usually prop intensive. And so what I'm doing is I'm creating a little bridge here. I've got my blocks, one of them's kind of like on their medium setting and then one on the lower setting. And then I have my bolster bridged here, creating like a little ramp. And a blanket can be really nice here to go down on this end or to drape over my legs. But you take, if you'd like to explore Shavasana like this, you take your lower back close to the edge of your ramp, and then resting your middle of your back on the ramp so that your arms drape off to the side, and it's a very intense hip, not intense, but it's a more intense heart opener than Shavasana would be. So if you'd like to play around with this for a moment, hit the pause button, set up your props. Otherwise, if you would like to just continue into Shavasana in a traditional way, you can get whatever you need, put on socks, add layers, grab a blanket. If you enjoy the bolster underneath your thighs, or use your knees, not your thighs, to relieve some of that pressure. Hands off to the side. Just allow your breath to lengthen here. At the beginning of class, we set an intention through the container of new beginnings. We explored feelings and sensations that can come up for us when we explore something new, doing something new, engaging with new people. And as we wrap up our yoga for beginners work together, our journey together, as we reflect on those sensations, also reflecting potentially on a sense of accomplishment, a sense of completion, a sense of curiosity, a sense of gratitude for trying something new, for being vulnerable. I guess that your mind has wandered. That's okay. Label that thought, label that feeling, and coming back to your breath. Allow your breath to lengthen and deepen. And perhaps allow yourself to stretch here. Invite gentle movement between fingers and toes. In your own time, making your way to a seated position. Legs crossed, or whatever position is comfortable and a sense of dignity. And taking your hands to heart center. It has truly been an honor being able to travel with you on this journey. And whatever the path for yoga looks like for you, I hope that you explore it with integrity and honesty and curiosity. The light in me deeply honors and respects the light in you. Namaste.